Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. Good evening.
Good evening. Nice meeting you all. My name is Vanshika, and today I'll be taking your workshop on cognitive reasoning and insight. And before we start our workshop, I just wanted to ask how's everyone feeling out of 1 to 10 since it's been a long day and it's also close to end of the week. So, just like quick ratings on how you're feeling right now. Or you can put in emojis as well. Currently, I'm feeling 8 because I really like this topic and I'm excited to share this knowledge with you all. So, what about the others? 8, that's really nice. What about rest? There are 18 people over here, so it just can't be one person replying, right? 5, I had a long day. I hope you rest well tonight. Someone said good. I'm good. I'm glad that your day is going good or you're feeling really good right now. So, before we go more further into the workshop, I wanted to I wanted to introduce you to the founder of Psychic Mantra. So, her name is Ria Kurania ma'am, and she is the founder and the therapist at the Psychic Mantra. She is very passionate about helping people and understanding their emotions. She also helps them set healthy boundaries and also help them build self awareness. With her background in counseling, NLP, and mental health coaching, she blends really well with evidence based approaches with a lot of warmth and empathy. And she helps people throughout from children, adults, couples, and family. So she helps them guide on their own journey to heal, grow, and find balance. So that's upon Psychic Mantra for those who are new. And I would start today's session by asking you all to do a very quick decision challenge. So the decision challenge in the sense I would want you all to share, anyone who's comfortable, either write it down or tell it out loud, on to present three short dilemmas that you have faced in your life and what decision did you take. So for example, let's just say that today I decided to wake up at 9 o'clock, even though I know that if I woke up at 8:30, I would have reached my workplace earlier. So, but I chose to take 9 o'clock just because I wanted extra time of sleep. So, what made me choose that is because I wanted sleep. I even though it's a 9 o'clock, I can figure out on how to go to my workplace, but need my sleep. I'm really tired today. So that's my decision. So in that sense, at least one of your decision, that maybe you forgot your friend's birthday and you have to like decide, do you have to call or text them. So what decision did you take and why did you take that decision? So I want at least like few people to respond to it and give me your own sentences or like your own dilemmas that you had worked on. I hope I made sense.
Can you please repeat the question?
I was asking if either one of you could share one dilemma that you have faced through your life and you had to make a quick decision in it. So I would like someone to share that and also let me know why you chose that decision. In the sense, if you had you are applying for your master's college, and you had to choose between Christ College and Manipal College. Now, what college would you choose? Let's just say you choose Christ. Why did you choose that? So how that's what I meant by dilemma. Anybody? Please be as interactive as possible because there are a lot of activities that comes up in this workshop to help you understand today's workshop much more better. I wouldn't like it if it's all theoretical and you all just sit and listen. So please try to interact. Nobody?
Kindly ask the question again, please.
I was asking for one of you all to share a dilemma that you have faced in your life. It can, and what decision had you made to pick your option and why did you choose? Like you had to go somewhere and did you go or not? If you did, why? If you did not, why not? So, in that sense, what was your decision in that and why did you make that decision?
So let me share one of my this thing. It is not related to some, you know, it is not that serious. But when I was choosing my stream during my academics, when I was in class eighth, no, when I was in class 10th, yeah. So when I was choosing my stream, whether I go for PCB or for humanities, uh, I was little confused about that because I wanted psychology as my primary subject in my school. So yeah, that could be one of the dilemma which I had to face during my academics. Uh, but actually, I think I made a quick decision because I had no pressure due, in my family also, and um, so I think that would be my dilemma in academics. Uh, I would say determinant. If I talk about academics, yeah, that would be it.
Thank you for sharing. Another one is half an hour before I came home. I was really tired. I thought I'd just sleep, but I wanted to attend this session as well and chose this to learn something and do better. Thank you for attending and thank you for sharing as well. So, yes, this is how you make decisions out of something that you are like, do I choose this or do I choose that? And with this, we understand on how cognitive reasoning works, how our emotion plays a role over here, and how we make split second decisions in our day-to-day lives. I'll just quickly read another dilemmas I was shared. So my friend called me 30 minutes before this Zoom meet. At that time, I actually planned to have a short nap for 30 minutes and attended the Zoom meeting, but I preferred my friend call over my sleep. So you see how you had to make a split decision and how you reasoned with it. So that's what we learned today, all right? If in case I'm going too fast or if I'm not making any sense, if you want me to re-explain anything, feel free to like put it in the chat box or just like turn on your mic and let me know. Okay? So what exactly is cognitive reasoning? Cognitive reasoning, in very layman terms, I could say that it is the mental ability for someone to break very complex information into smaller ones so that you can understand better. For example, now many of y'all like obviously we all have been in academics and we don't understand a concept, so we see examples for that concept, we break it down into easier understanding, and this helps us to comprehend the complex data, that's the big data that we interact with, and we it helps us to think abstractly about it, how can we plan realistically, how can we solve problems, etc. And over here, reasoning plays a vital role in our executive functioning and problem solving. So, over here in reasoning specifically, there are two types of reasoning, that is, inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. So, inductive reasoning is where you observe certain things and you have a general conclusion about them. So, basically, you try to understand and focus on the relationships among some examples, and then you generalize it to yourself. For example, let's just say that um, it's rainy season. So every time it rains or like it's transitioning to a rainy season, you get sick or your friends get sick. So in the future, when like in the next year when rainy season comes again, that's when you again think automatically think like, oh my god, it's going to be rainy season soon. I need to take precautionary so I don't get sick this year. So that's what inductive reasoning means. Then comes deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is where you have a general statement and you derive a specific conclusion from it. And this kind of reasoning is commonly used in mathematics, logic, or even scientific thinking. For example, let's take an example of birds. So we know that all birds lay eggs. So now you know that ostrich is a bird. An ostrich is a bird, so you just let yourself know that since ostrich is a bird, all ostriches lay eggs. And if you want a more abstract understanding, we all know that all birds can fly. But then we also know that some birds cannot fly. But those who aren't like kids, if they don't know about that, they assume that a penguin can fly because it's known as a bird. That's what deductive reasoning is like, where you have a general statement and you derive a specific conclusion from it. Now, under deductive reasoning, there are even more subtypes, that is, conditional reasoning, categorical reasoning, and linear reasoning. So, one by one, we'll quickly understand what each one of them means. So, conditional reasoning is called as it's basically based on if then relationships. For example, every time your phone rings, it means that you have received a text. So, right now, you know the statement, and this is what you have conditioned yourself into. Let's just say, very coincidentally, your phone rings right now. So automatically, what your mind thinks that you have received a text. But categorical reasoning is different from that. It involves you classifying information into categories. So we say that um, all mammals they can all mammals have a heart. Now we see, sorry, no, let me think of a better one. Yeah, so we let's just say that all vertebrates have kidneys. So then when we see a bear, we know that a bear is a vertebrate. And then we go like, oh, since it's a bear, we know that it also has a kidney. That is where you categorize it. So vertebrates is just like a whole term, and kidney is a part of the vertebrae. Right now, you all are a part of a workshop. So workshop is the main thing. Now, in a workshop, what kind of workshop are you in? You are in a psychology related workshop. So that's a category. Now, if another person is conducting a workshop, you may also think that they are in a psychology related workshop. So you categorize your reasoning. I hope the example makes sense. Just give me a quick thumbs up.
Can also be a traffic signal where we have a signal to always um, follow, but we have three different color of lights to categorize.
Yes. Exactly. So now, whenever you see a red, like not even on a signal, just simply a color red, your mind immediately thinks of traffic signal, because over there you know that when it's red, you need to stop. So when you see a red color, you know that's danger and you need to stop. So that's how categorical reasoning works. Absolutely right. Now the last one is sorry, linear reasoning. So, linear reasoning is basically it is based on sequential or comparative relationships. For example, let's just say there is A, B, and C people. All right. So A goes like B is older than C. So A automatically thinks that therefore I am older than C. So this is like a sequence between your relationship and you compare yourself with it. That is called linear reasoning. Till here, did everyone get the basic idea of reasoning and the types of reasoning and everything? Okay. Now we'll go into the cognitive skills in reasoning. First, we look into attention. So I just want to like help me understand on what attention, memory, and mental imaging means in your own words when it comes to cognitive skills. There's no right or wrong answer. Just what are your thoughts?
For example, if we don't give proper attention and if we study and go without having the in subject into our memory, we may not be able to recollect while writing exams.
Yes. Anyone else? Memory, because attention we got a really good example. What about memory?
Memory could be trying to, while writing a family tree, we are trying to reimagine and you know assuming how our ancestors or our forefathers look like or something of that kind.
Yes. So right now we understood the example version of attention and memory that ma'am had shared. And someone mentioned that attention is focusing on some stimuli. Absolutely right. So both of you have given me the correct responses. So for attention, as ma'am mentioned, in more of a theoretical version, if we see, it's when someone focuses on a very relevant information and ignore the distractions around them. It could be automatic or it could be an inadequate response. So that is what attention comes in for cognitive skills. So we wait at a stop sign when a traffic cop signals you to move on. So that is what attention comes, because you pay attention to the traffic cop and you like go ahead with what he says because you are paying attention to what he's saying. You have a focus on it. Second comes memory. So long term memory provides previously learned strategies that can be applied to new problems. So working memory helps retain essential elements during your problem solving, such as tables. Like you have what, two apples, and per apple is like 1 rupee each. I wish it was that cheap, but let's just say one apple is 1 rupee each. So immediately you go like, okay, I'm getting two apples, so 1 rupee each. One plus one is two. How did you do this math? You remember doing this math when you were a kid. You learned how to do addition. Where did addition come from? You learned in your maths class when you were in KG2. That's how memory works. Rightly, as ma'am said, that when you're trying to remember family tree, how did you remember it? Because someone told to you before. You were paying attention to remember that, and hence you can recall it. So that's how memory works. And I'll just look in the comments quickly because some of you all have shared your opinions. So one said attention could be selective. Yes, completely right. There are different types of attention as well, and one of them is selective attention, which we kind of are focusing on right now. And other person said the mental image is somewhat related to schemas. Yes, we could in one way we could say that. So mental imagery, it's like how you visualize, how you compare, or how you anticipate outcomes is what we look into mental imagery. So it basically helps you support decision making on a more of a mentally rotating objects or like planning arrangements around it. For example, you decide whether the amount of clothes that you have, does it fit your cupboard or not. So that's your mental imagery, like you visualize what you see around yourselves. So a lot of us, we have done measure, like we go to like these street shops where there are no trial rooms, right? So you just see a clothing and then you put it on yourself and you see, will this fit me or not? So you mentally visualize yourself, or does this actually fit my aesthetic when I wear this actually outside? So that's your mental imagery. So these are some cognitive skills that's involved in your reasoning, is what the whole ideas of these three components are. Now, the neural basis of reasoning is where, we'll talk about neural basis and impairment of reasoning ability. Now, for neural basis of reasoning, it primarily focuses on our prefrontal cortex that is located in the frontal lobe. I will explain these terms in much more easier way. We'll just understand it in a very technical version and then I'll break it down slowly to you guys. Alright? So yeah. For the reasoning, primarily, it occurs in our prefrontal cortex, and then it locates in that is located in our frontal lobe. So basically, we have two hemispheres, the right and the left hemisphere, and a brain, right? So the right hemisphere, it is engaged more on when we recall our familiar scenarios, whereas the left hemisphere is more on our abstract reasoning and how we deal with unfamiliar information. And we also have something called as complex reasoning, which is where the basically in the front part of your head. So like where
We can't hear you. Looks like there is a
the front
network
part of
issue.
your head. That is where our prefrontal cortex is. And what does it mean? Hello?
Yeah, you are not audible.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Okay. I am so sorry for that glitch. Just a second. Okay. I'm really sorry. So, where was I? Where did you guys lose my connection? Like, what was I talking and then I started breaking out?
Now, I think the first point, yeah, two hemispheres.
Yes. So I was saying that we have two hemispheres, that is the right and the left hemisphere. So our right hemisphere is where we engage more in recalling the familiar like scenarios and memories, whereas the left hemisphere is more on our abstract reasoning and dealing with the unfamiliar information. So now for the prefrontal cortex, just to understand where it is, just touch the front part of your head. That is literally where your prefrontal cortex is there. and it basically helps you in thinking, your planning, and even your decision making. So, when your right side of the brain is more active, that is when you think more about the situations that you already know of. That is your recalling your familiar situations. And for the left side is your understanding something new. You are understanding what neural basis and impairment of reasoning is. So over here, your left side is working, and you solve unfamiliar problems. In the sense, for those who aren't aware of what prefrontal cortex is or frontal lobe is, you're trying to understand key what is this, what are these words. So that is where your left side of your brain is working. And for those who already are aware of these two terms, your right side of the brain is more active. You both the hemispheres, they work side by side. And if you're going for more complex thinking, all different parts of your brain, they work all together. It's like a team effort just for you to reason things out in a very simpler manner. This is what neural basis of reasoning means. Got it? Now, for impairment of reasoning ability is where a person can have a cognitive or neurological conditions like schizophrenia, stroke, traumatic brain injury, dementia, or even delays in their language development. And if if we say, for example, individuals with schizophrenia, they may form conclusions without any without any sufficient evidence. So let's say they were encountered with a woman, and she had dark hair, and she was very rude to that person. So what their generalization would be is that all women with dark hair are rude. So such overgeneralization can is one of an example that we can say on how impaired the reasoning can distort a person's perception and judgment. If in case you all are interested more on the neurological conditions or like neurological disorders, do let us know after the workshop so we can have proper workshops on just related to neuro degenerative disorders. All right. Did you all understand reasoning, how it is plays a role with our brain and everything? Okay, now we'll move on to cognitive distortions. Sorry, I forgot to show this page. Okay, now we'll go into cognitive distortions. So, cognitive distortion is where a person would have a habitual biased errors in thinking. So over here, they it leads them to misinterpret reality in a very negative way. And the concept is just like this concept basically gained in 1960s and 1970s, where Dr. Aaron Beck, he's the founder of cognitive therapy. And also Albert Ellis, he's the founder of REBT, that is rational emotive behavior therapy. Can someone like quickly make me understand if anyone knows of what REBT or CBT is about?
It's like thoughts mostly influence our emotions and behavior.
This is for
CBT.
okay. It's maybe could you specify on which kind of thoughts?
Generally, if anything happens, how you perceive that event in positive way or negative way, based on that, our emotions and behavior will be there.
Okay,
It will
you
reflect on our emotions and behavior, the belief about that event.
yes, you were in like a right direction to what you meant by CBT. Just to add in a little words is where you try to change irrational thoughts and beliefs into rational thoughts, because we can't like something can be negative for you, but that can be positive factor for me. So that's why we say it as irrational beliefs, but it was in the right direction. It was just the terminologies like negative and positive. So instead of that, we would go with irrational beliefs. Okay. So some of them you all have answered as well. So RABT is changing irrational beliefs into rational beliefs. CBT is channelizing on irrational thoughts to rational, yes. Challenging the belief is REBT, yes. Distorted thoughts. And CBT is breaking the connection between thought, emotion, and behavior. CBT identified and changed dysfunctional thought patterns. So all of you are in right direction. Just do search up on like the right terminologies to be used, because over here when we see positive and negative thoughts, it's usually seen very different for some people and different from the others. And that's why we go with like specific terms like irrational beliefs, or um, like how we challenge it and everything like that. Oh, sorry, how we modify the irrational thoughts and everything. So that's, yes, everyone did give right answers. Now Beck observed that individuals with depression, he observed that they have an automatic negative thought about themselves. So over here, he, like, they have negative thoughts about themselves, they have negative thoughts about their future and even the world. So, this entire pattern he named it as negative cognitive triad. And Albert Ellis, he emphasized these irrational beliefs involving rigid should, must, and have to statements, which led to emotional distress. So, cognitive distortions, they are rooted in cognitive, sorry, they are rooted in cognitive schemas, basically where you have these certain beliefs that is so punched down into yourself because of earlier experiences of it, and over time these schemas became rise to your own automatic thoughts and habitual interpretations. Let's just say that you have this strong belief that if you don't brush today your breath will stink and nobody wants to talk to you because you're stinking. This belief you have been taught since a young age. So right now if you you like, even if you forget to brush, you know, oh no, I have to go brush, so you go brush your teeth. So this is how the whole automatic thoughts and how it becomes a habit in a person exists. And if we go on what causes it, obviously it starts from a very early age, like your adverse life events. So the more prolonged or the more severe your stress can, it can stress is, it can reinforce more of an maladaptive thought patterns. So from an evolutionary perspective, such distortions, they may have once been adaptive for short-term survival, but for others it is maladaptive for long-term mental health. All right, we'll just look into some common types of cognitive distortions. So first one is polarized thinking or black and white thinking. It is also known as all or none thinking. Over here, we view situations in extremes without acknowledging the middle ground. It's like you did something, let's just say you wrote your exam just right now, and after you come out of it you just think just one sentence: I will either score good marks or I will completely fail. That is your polarized thinking. Second comes overgeneralization, where you draw broad conclusions from a single event. So you failed this one test, like you had a span of exams, and in one of them you failed. Now you assume in yourself that you have failed in all your other subjects, or you have done bad in all your other subjects. Then comes catastrophizing. Over here you expect the worst possible outcome despite little evidence. So you have done your exam really well, you just got two answers wrong. Now you're like, that's all, I have done bad, I will fail. I cannot even see my marks right now. I can't even get to know about my marks right now. That is called catastrophizing. Then comes personalization, where you blame oneself for events outside one's control. Now, the teacher, she herself added questions that is out of the syllabus. And students weren't aware of, and they were gaslit into it that key, we already taught this, why are you guys overreacting? Now, over here, you think you haven't studied enough because the teacher did a fault, but you're blaming on yourself because even if you studied really well for the exam. So that is what is known as personalization, where you blame yourself even though it is out of your control and it's other person's fault. Then comes mind reading, assuming that you know what others are thinking, mostly in a negative manner. So if you scored low in your marks just because you haven't actual reason is because you did not study well, all right, that's why you scored like less in your exam. But what a person who does mind reading is that they end up thinking ki the teacher hates them, they have some personal grudge, that is why they purposefully gave me low marks. That is them assuming what others are thinking about them negatively, so this is called mind reading. Then comes mental filtering, so, where you focus only on the negative things while ignoring positives. So, let's just say out of 5 subjects, you scored less in one subject. Now you think that you're a failure just because you scored less in one subject, whereas you scored really well in your other 4 subjects. So this is called mental filtering, where you only focus on negatives. Then comes discounting the positive, where you dismiss positive outcomes as luck or coincidence. So you go like, I did well on this test, but it was easy anyways. So that's how you discount the positive over here. You just think like you have prepared really well for that test. Maybe that's why you did very well on the test. But people with cognitive distortion, they just think it's just luck. That's why I got good marks. Then comes should statements, where holding rigid expectations for oneself or others. Well, now you are a A plus student. You have been doing all your exams really well all over your school life, but then suddenly you were really busy and you are scored like you were worried that you wouldn't score well. That is when you go like, but no, I should always be perfect. How can I do this to myself? I will like betray other people. So that is something where you see as should statement. Then comes emotional reasoning, where you assume that feelings reflect objective truth. So someone calls you useless. No, sorry, not someone calls you useless. You just feel useless because, or you just feel dumb because you just didn't. You did decent. You did average on your exam. So this person ends up thinking, I am dumb. I must be dumb. I'm always dumb. That is emotional reasoning. And then lastly comes labeling, where you define yourself or others based on one negative event. So, classic example is rumors. You get a bad rumor about one person. Let's just say that he doesn't bath every day. That is a rumor that you heard. Now you just assume that the person just doesn't bath and he is very unhygienic. That is called labeling. So these are like some cognitive distortions that we look into as therapists when we get to know a client, or these are just like some factors that we look into, and that's how we reason with them. That's why cognitive reasoning and cognitive distortions, they come in together. I think someone put in a message where saying mind reading can sometimes say mind reading could is mind reading lead to delusion, or could this lead to delusion? Uh, so if someone like if we see in more of like clinically way, if someone truly believe that they can read others' minds or thoughts, and they say like, or they just mention that others can read their own minds. Like they believe in it. They go like, "Ki, genuinely they know what I'm saying, or I know what they're thinking." This can be seen as psychotic disorder like schizophrenia, because it's just not them guessing what others feels, but they just have this very fixed false belief that says that, no, I know that he's thinking, he is reading my mind or she's reading my mind. So that is called, for like, in that sense, yes, we can say that it could lead to a delusion. But if it's in a normal version, like in our everyday basis, where you just assume that someone is thinking about you, like you assume that your friend is angry at you because she is very quiet, but she's just zoning out. She's just really tired. She's not even angry at you. That is not really a distortion. It's more of a, sorry, that's not really a delusion. It's more of a distortion. So this is where they jump into conclusions without evidence. But when it's the psychotic version, they don't even care about evidence. They just go, I know this. I believe in this. You should also believe in me. So that is how this works. I hope I made sense until now with everyone. Okay. Now we'll go into a small, yeah, we'll go into a small case study. I would want someone to volunteer to read this case study for me. Any volunteers?
Okay, I could read it.
Yes. Thank you.
So, Ananya is a 21-year-old psychology student interning at a mental health organization. She has been asked to give a short presentation on stress management techniques to her peers. On the day of her presentation, Ananya forgets a few key points midway, notices two classmates whispering in the audience, and immediately feels embarrassed. After the session, she leaves quickly, convinced it went terribly.
Thank you so much for volunteering. Now I will narrate some sentences as if I am Ananya. Now I want you all to help me understand what type of distorted thinking pattern I have. Works? Did everyone understand? Okay. So let's just say I come up to you and go like, I completely messed it up. Everyone must think I'm a terrible at public speaking. What is this? What kind of distortion is this?
Uh, Mind reading, maybe?
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. So why do you think, um, like, could you explain what made you say mind reading?
Yeah, because she's making assumption of herself by only judging the fact that their peers or the students who were sitting there were whispering about her. Uh, Although it might be the possibility that they are talking about maybe about to go out and hang out or whatever. So I think this would fall under mind reading distortion, cognitive distortion.
Absolutely right. Both your what do you say? Both your answer and explanation is completely right. Now the second statement would be, if I forget one point, the whole presentation is a failure. What does which type of distortion is this?
Overgeneralization.
Could you? I'll just present the other version. Just see if there's any other thing that can align with it.
Catastrophizing.
No, over here she says that if I forget one point, the whole presentation is a failure. Yes, polarized
Is it
thinking.
is it all or nothing? Uh-huh.
Yes, all or nothing. Correct. I couldn't see who all mentioned all or nothing, but yes, that is all or nothing, black and white, polarized thinking, all these come under the same underlining. So, can someone help me understand that what made you think it's all or not, all or nothing?
Ananya thinks that if she is doing good, it is good. Otherwise, it's a flop. In the sense, if
Exactly.
yeah, if for example, if she is getting to see her friends or her classmates whispering about something else, but she assumes it as disaster in her presentation. So either she is good or she is not good, completely not right.
Yes, that's correct. Now, we'll just do two more statements and then we'll move on to the next, all right? So, let's just say Ananya comes up to you, go like, I shouldn't have volunteered for this at all. I should have known I'd fail. What does this mean? Like, which distorted thinking is this?
Ma'am, personalization
No.
or catastrophizing. That is catastrophizing.
I'll just reread the statement. Just like have a look on the cognitive distortions over here. She says, I shouldn't have volunteered for this at all. I should have known I'd fail.
Catastrophizing.
Emotional reasoning.
Personalizing, ma'am.
No. She's using a lot, yes, should statements. Thank you. Because she used a lot of should statements was also a type of cognitive reasoning where where a person holds a very rigid expectations for oneself. So over here she is using the should statement over here on herself, saying that I should have known that I will fail in this. So, and she should not volunteer for this. So that's a cognitive distortion because she is very rigid about her own internal rules that just brings out her guilt and self blame even more. That's why we see should statements as a distorted thinking pattern. Does that make sense? Well, thank you all for like participating. Okay, one last one is it's hopeless. I'll never be good at this.
Labeling.
Give it another shot.
Overgeneralization.
One more try. I'll just
Kindly ask the
explain.
question again. Yeah, kindly ask the question again.
Yes. So let's just say Ananya comes and tells it's hopeless. I'll never be good at this. She's assuming the worst possible long term outcome, not personalization. Everyone were telling this for the previous one.
Filtering.
No.
Um,
Overgeneralizing.
over.
No.
Okay, we got with
Catastrophizing.
two.
Yes, someone said
Catastrophizing.
catastrophizing. Yes. Everyone were telling catastrophizing before and now they say
They are
hope.
so close to each other that we get confused.
Yeah, it kind of overlaps with each
Yeah.
other that we
Sometimes
like
a statement could be both, right? It can be overgeneralizing as well as catastrophizing.
for overgeneralizing we could see like if she says that this will happen again in every presentation I ever do. So she's generalizing that in her future presentations also she'll do very bad. That is overgeneralization.
Right, right. We have to be meticulous.
Yeah, it's like it does look overlapping with each other, but in the end of the day, the more we think about it, the more it makes sense.
Yes, yes.
That is why we're doing like small, small activities so you yourself will understand what cognitive distortion is and how you can like differentiate between each other. But I am really loving the enthusiasm for you. Okay, so I hope cognitive distortions made sense. Just one last activity when it comes to cognitive distortion, and we'll go to the other part. One second. Okay, now is this visible for everybody? Okay, I would want. There are three questions, so I need three people. Okay, can one person volunteer for first question? Anybody?
Myself. Myself.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So I will read out the question and I would want you to give me a cognitive distortion sentence for it. And like what, sorry, not cognitive, what type of cognitive distortion it is, and also the alternative thought that you can um, rephrase it into. Does that make sense?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So a person does not get a job they applied for and thinks, I am failing at life. I can't do anything right.
Mm, overgeneralization, I think.
What if we think about just for the current situation and not future situations?
Catastrophism.
Correct. So the catastrophizing is the cognitive distortion. So if let's just say your friend comes up to you and goes like, I am failing at life, I can't do anything right. How would you alternate this cognitive thought?
Mm, it's okay if we are not getting this job. If we try and if we improve, if we realize our mistake and we try for another job, surely we will get.
Yes, absolutely. That is one way of an alternative thought. Another way
Failing,
could
and
be
also another
yes,
way, failing in one job uh, is not um, saying we will fail in our life ever. It's
yes,
not failure in life, it is the failure in one job. That's it.
absolutely right. So this is what this activity is going to look like. All right. Thank you so much for volunteering. Can I
Okay.
have another person to volunteer for the second question?
I will do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So while a student is eating in the cafeteria, they look around and think everyone thinks I am such a loser for eating alone. What kind of cognitive distortion do you think this is?
Mind
Mind
reading.
reading.
And what other distortion do you think, uh, like if in case it was sentenced in a way where I say that everyone thinks I'm a loser for eating alone, but the situation is where that friend's other friend isn't like she was absent. So if that was the case, what kind of cognitive distortion do you think it would be?
Overgeneralizing.
No.
Um,
Overgeneralizing first part, overgeneralizing doesn't come over here because it is they're not drawing a conclusion for a single event. Mind reading is correct, where you mentioned that since because she's thinking that everyone is thinking of her as a loser, I just rephrased it in another way. Well, let's just say that she had to eat alone that day because her friend was absent, and she's thinking like this. So, what kind of cognitive distortion would that be?
Personalizing.
Perfect. Yes. Now, how would you alternate these two types of thoughts?
Everyone thinks that I am hungry. and I eat alone. I'm eating alone.
No, no. I wanted you to alternate the thought. Like, so
Okay.
she said that everyone thinks I am such a loser for eating alone. Now, how would you paraphrase this cognitive distortion into more of a positive outlook?
Because my friend was unavailable,
Hmm.
that I have to eat alone.
Yes, that is one way. For mind reading way version, how would you alternate the thought?
Okay. Mind. Maybe I need help.
Do you remember how, for the first uh, prompt, she said that I am failing at life, I can't do anything right. Right? So, ma'am mentioned how not getting this job doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just means that I can get a better job later on. So, over here in your prompt, she is saying that everyone thinks I'm such a loser for eating alone. So, how would you empathize with her for this thought?
Because my friend was unavailable and I am hungry also. I had to eat alone, and I do not think that it has any impact on the opinion of others.
Perfect. So, that's one way of thinking when it comes to personalization. And when it comes for mind reading, maybe we could think in a way we can help where we can help in the alternative thought of saying that people are probably focused on their own meals or conversations, and eating alone doesn't make me a loser. It's okay to enjoy my own company sometimes. So that's like a alternative thought. Is did that make sense, ma'am? Yes.
Yes, yes,
But
yes.
thank you so much for volunteering. Sadia, and I hope my pronunciations are good. So Sadia mentioned that being alone is also nice. It makes me practice finding solitude in being alone. Yes, that could also be a type of alternative thought on how you can help the person. I really wish I could take a third volunteer as well. I have to move on because time is kind of running. I'm really sorry about that.
Yes, I can. Can I?
Is it okay that for the next activity you could help me in volunteering?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. So there are like plenty amount of cognitive distortion worksheets that I have uploaded in the resources. So if anyone wants to look for your own self, or if you are a certified counselor or a like a clinical psychologist, you can use them on your clients as well. But then if just for basic understanding, you can try to understand how it is, how can you differentiate and everything. There are plenty amount of worksheets that has been provided. Okay, now we will move on to dual process theory. So, dual process theory basically explains how people have two types of cognitive processing to make any decision or solving problems. So, over here, there is intuitive, and the type 2 is analytic processes. So, the theory emphasizes how these systems interact and influence judgment and decision making. Okay. So for the type 1 processing, that is the intuitive thinking, it is very fast, automatic, and intuitive, as it mentions, where decisions are based on your instincts, on your experiences that you had, or your learned patterns, rather than just like a sudden thought. So, sorry, a learned thought. And these are often described as like your gut reaction. Like you say, I have a gut feeling that this is going to be bad. So this is your type 1 processing. Type 2 processing is more on slow, deliberate, and reflective. So it involves on reasoning or hypothetical thinking and weighing potential consequences to it. So it draws on your working memory, and you just hold that information, you manipulate it into like multiple pieces of information at the same time. So let's just say that you just learn cognitive distortion. Now you're going to think, and I mentioned that you need worksheets. So now you're going to think that did do am I doing cognitive distortion onto myself? Do I need to reflect on it? Because I think I might be doing cognitive distortions on myself. I'm not telling that you guys have to like self-diagnose yourself or anything. I'm just giving it as an example. But that's how your analytical thinking is. It's very slow, it's very reflective. You see the pros and cons of it, and then you see if you really want to remember it or not. So when you have to compare these two processes, while it is common to assume that type 2 processing produces better decision because it involves more in critical thought, uh, there were these theorists that Evans and Stanovich, they mention how they are against this oversimplification because they argue that type 1 processes is not inherently flawed. Neither is type 2 processes always being correct. Over here, they mention how effective decision making often involves a balance between both these type of processes, and that's where we see our intuition, and that's when we provide a lot of efficiency, and that's when we have a lot more analysis, and that offers us accuracy in whatever decisions that we make. Now, if I have to take an example, you went to a new restaurant. You going to a new restaurant is your type 2 processing. It's an analytical thinking where you see, do I try an that a new dish or not? Now you see through the menu, you see different types of dishes, you don't understand it. That is your, and then you ask the waiter, ki, what are these dishes, can you explain me the recipes? Then you say, am I allergic to this or not, will I like it or not, is it too spicy or too sweet? And over a period of time, you get really tired. Like, you know what? I'll just order gobi Manchurian. That is your type 1 reasoning because you know what gobi Manchurian is. You like gobi Manchurian. You want to be comforted. That's your quick decision making. So this is how type 2 and type 1 and type 2 processing works together. I hope that made sense. Okay. Now we'll go to Socratic questioning. So Socratic questioning, what do I repeat? The both the processes together. Oh, the example. Okay, so my example was, let's just say you went to a restaurant. It's a new place. Mm, Let me give more specifically. Okay, there is Domino's and Pizza Hut. So you went to you usually go to Domino's, but this time you went to Pizza Hut. Now, usually in your Domino's, you order simple chicken pizza. But in Pizza Hut, you see more than just a chicken pizza. You see chicken tandoori pizza, you see veg pizza, you see paneer makhani pizza. There's like a lot of different types of pizzas. Now, if we have to see this more in type 1 and type 2, your type 2 process thinks that, okay, Pizza Hut is a new place. It's my first time trying this place. I don't really know what the reviews are or how the taste is like, what is the quantity. And you think, okay, I came here first. I want to explore more. Should I take pasta and pizza, or do I just take pizza? And after a period of time, like you're really hungry. Now you have to make a quick decision. So how do you make that decision? You remember that you like the chicken pizza from Domino's, and you see a simple chicken pizza in Pizza Hut. So you end up choosing that and you order it. That is your type 1 because you already know how it tastes, you really like the taste of it, and it comforts you. So this is, and you just had like this feeling ki I think the pasta might not taste good, and I might not like the new pizza because the combination is very weird. That's why you chose your simple chicken pizza. This is how both your type 1 and type 2 processing is working together. It's not like you just went to a new restaurant and you sit there and that's all, nothing else. So it doesn't work like that. Both of them, they work together. I hope that made sense now. Okay. So we'll move to Socratic questioning. So Socratic questioning is more of a disciplined and reflective method of how you inquire, where you use structured, thoughtful questioning to explore your ideas or you challenge your assumptions and you also encourage in a more deeper understanding. So over here, it promotes more on your critical self-examination, where you help the people evaluate the evidence behind their thoughts and beliefs. So this kind of technique is usually used in CBT or any related therapeutic approaches, where it is used to help the client themselves identify or how they can evaluate themselves or how can they evaluate their how they can modify their cognitive distortions or their automatic negative thoughts. This is how Socratic thoughts are being used. Now some purpose of it could be, yeah, so the purpose of this is um, that this encourages the people to reflect on themselves critically or like basically on their thoughts and reasoning. It helps them promote self discovery where they independently come to their answer to why that happens, and rather than the counselor or the psychologist giving like the direct answer to it. And this helps in reducing the cognitive distortions because by examining these you also validate their beliefs and also encourage of more of a like balanced perspective on it. So with all this we can go into the whole core principles of it. One comes as curiosity over confrontation. So over here is where the therapist maintains a non-judgmental and just like a non-judgmental stance towards the client, because you don't want to confront them. You don't want to go like, "Ki, why are you feeling like this?" You never ask a why question to your client. You are just curious, like, okay, you just mentioned that you felt or you have like you felt that other people are talking bad about you when you eat alone. So help me understand why do you so help me understand what made you feel that way, or where is it coming from. So this is just you being curious. You are not confronting them. Then comes evidence based inquiry, where you focus on examining the evidence supporting or refuting the belief. So if we take in the girl eating alone, we ask them that how did you come to the conclusion that other people are talking about you, or like just so that you can linger around the belief to see what kind of belief it is or how deep and from where it is coming, like did it happen before as well. So what is the evidence about it. Then open ended explorations. So it is like more of how and what questions, like rather than closed ended questions like yes or no, like do you feel sad, do you feel annoyed, that is closed ended. Or we could do reform that, we can say that how do you feel when you hear someone talking about you or when you assume that someone is talking about you, and what makes you feel that, what brought you to the conclusion that they are talking about you. So that would give them more amount of self discovery, where they can understand from where they're coming up with these evidences and what insight that they have about it and what are they reflecting through it. So that is one of the core principles. Now if you have to look into the types of Socratic questioning, is first one is clarifying questions. So what do you mean by that, is like that is called clarifying questions. Then there is assumption probing questions. what are you assuming here? Like, what are you assuming here that they are talking about you? That's how assumption probing questions are. Then comes evidence based questions. What evidence supports or contradicts your belief that this person is talking about you or that you are a failure? What evidence is supporting that? What made you believe that? Then comes alternative viewpoint questions. Could there be another way to look at this? So if a client comes up to you and go like, I feel like a failure because I presented really bad in my presentation. That's why I feel like this. So now you could ask like, could there be another way to look at this? So maybe they can go like, I think because previously this is what my teacher told me, that is why I assumed it this way, but I'm not really sure. So that's your alternative viewpoint questions, and they can like reflect more on that. And then there are consequence questionings. So what might happen if you continue thinking this way? So this just makes us understand if the client is reflecting on it, that if they have seen this being a pattern for a long period of time or if it's been a short period of time. And lastly is meta questions. What do you think this, sorry, what makes you think that this question is important to you? Where they question themselves that I am a failure. So what makes them think that, it makes them question themselves that, they are a failure. So those are meta questions. Basically all these kind of questions, they help in cognitive restructuring and encourage the client themselves to analyze their thought processes in more of an objective version. uh, there are a list of questions that I have added in the resources again for whoever wants to practice their counseling skills, especially in their questioning types. They can look into it to have more of an understanding about it. Now, I also want to mention that the application in therapy for Socratic questionings is in context of CBT or REBT or just cognitive restructuring in general. So it helps them to identify their automatic negative thoughts, irrational beliefs, emotional reasoning, and also helps them balance more of a realistic perspective about themselves. So it helps them to identify first their distress and their rigid thought. And when you ask open ended questions, it helps them to explore it. And then when they examine more underlying assumptions or their cognitive biases after they reflect on it from the open ended questions, then they consider alternative interpretations about it, like different type of viewpoint that they can look into it, and then they can evaluate their emotional and behavioral outcomes out of the belief that they have been following until now. So this just gives us the overall self-awareness, like the client, it just gives the client overall self-awareness. It gives them more of an emotional insight, more of a cognitive flexibility, also builds a good amount of problem solving and decision making. So I hope Socratic questioning made sense to everyone. Okay, so we just have another small activity. Someone wanted to volunteer, right?
Yes, it was me.
Okay. Hi. So I will be. You can see a distressing thought over here, where it say, "I am a failure because I dot dot dot." So I want you to come up with a distressing thought. For example, if I say, "I am a failure because I didn't get the internship I wanted." So can you
That is
help?
actually true.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's
um,
fine. It's fine.
sorry.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, do you want to go with that distressing thought or do you want to choose
Yes,
something
yes, yes, yes.
else?
No,
Okay,
let's just go with this.
okay. So let's just go with the example that I am a failure because I didn't get the internship I wanted. Now, I would help you guide through the Socratic questions where I'll ask you the questions and I would like you to answer them. Are you
Okay.
comfortable with that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So Firstly, I would like to ask what makes you think that you are a failure that supports this type of thought, that you are a failure.
Because I applied to many internships, but then again, I had more hopes with this because I also had a referral. But then again, they chose other people because they were in their masters.
Okay, I see. I understand that. Now, I wanna understand that what evidence goes against it that you are a failure.
Mm, I don't know how to answer this actually. Um,
You
can you give
mentioned,
me an example or something? Yeah,
so if I heard it right, you mentioned that they were looking only for master students, right?
yes.
So if you have seen your failure, yourself as a failure because you couldn't get into internship, now after knowing what could be the problem, what is the evidence that goes against it to why you haven't gotten shortlisted to it?
Maybe because I did not have more experience.
And also, what was the
Maybe,
criteria?
yes. Come again.
What was the criteria for getting selection?
It was master's copy and then again this internship where I did have two experiences. I volunteered for an art therapy in an event and I did counseling psychology internship. But then again, it had to be more as it was behavioral therapy.
Okay.
That was the position, so it had to be a master's student.
So I see that because of you not being a master student, you weren't able to get into the internship that you really wanted. So after understanding this, because you did, like, we're really glad that you have a lot of experience and you have a lot of exposure, but just because of you not entering into the criteria of being a master student, can you give an alternative explanation on how you can look into this distressing thought that you have right now?
In a positive manner,
Yes.
okay, it is fine that I did not get that internship, but then again, I have so much time in my hand that I'm exploring more about therapies and tools and techniques. I am attending more webinars now, so it is good for me.
So I'm really glad that you could go around and explore more. And if you had a chance where your friend came up to you with the same situation, what would you say to a friend like who had the same similar thought as you? How would you help them out? They also come up to
Mm,
you and go like, Sadia, I feel like I'm a failure because I did not get the internship I wanted. So how would you help the friend out?
I would probably encourage them and take them with me to do more webinars and attend more webinars and do some workshops and go explore more things and then take part into them.
Yes. Thank you so much for volunteering, and I'm really glad that you have understood the positive side of the negative outcome. We all are really sorry about it, but I just
Yeah,
wanted, I just wanted to like showcase how the thought of you feeling or anyone feeling that they are a failure can be changed into how you rounded up yourself into thinking that, you know, I have a lot of time to experience more, explore more, and go to more workshops, which is a really good thing. So it's just how from self criticism you have gone into self reflection, and how you said like I can see more other areas, I can figure out other areas as well, and that's your version of problem solving. So this is
yes,
how I wanted to show Socratic questioning can help and what the outcome comes out of it. I wasn't going really, and again, thank you so much for volunteering.
Yeah, it was good actually. It helped me.
I'm glad it did help. So, um, someone mentioned is an REBT approach. I wasn't actually going into any specific therapy mode. I was just helping you all understand how Socratic questioning can be and how it helps on how the various type of questions that you can ask to the client on them removing the not removing but like minimizing the self criticism and help them gain more of self reflection. So that is what I was going for. Okay, now we'll move on to the next one, that is emotional insight. So emotional insight basically is where the individual's ability is to recognize and understand, also interpret their own emotional state. So if we have to see more in a awareness forms, it's more of the fundamental part of a person's emotional intelligence, which will look into what it means, because it plays a huge role in your personal growth, your self regulation, and your effective decision making. And if you see on emotional intelligence, it's your own mental and interpersonal functioning. So it involves the capacity for you to identify how you assess, how you manage one's own emotions, as well as to understand others' emotions as well. So, unlike the technical version or hard skills of emotional intelligence, it is more of a soft skill that is often overlooked and rarely taught systematically. But usually if we see that people do experience a range of emotions like frustration, joy, or happiness, but they are not fully in touch with what they feel or why they feel it. That is what I meant by hard skills and soft skill over here. Now there are three choices in responding to emotions. So, for the denial of emotions is where you deny the existence of the emotions completely, like they don't have feelings for it, which reflects more on their emotional disassociation. So, over time, such disconnection can be problematic both personally and even professionally. So, when they end up denying their emotions, they lose access to even important source of information, or just like the type that can help them guide adaptive behavior and help them have more of an interpersonal engagement, that will completely get cut off if they don't have uh, if they're not realize it further enough. Like let's just say I am so emotionally detached that when I see someone passing away, I don't really feel anything because I haven't even processed my own emotions. I don't know what sad means. I don't know what crying means. So I don't cry. I don't know what it is, but I feel very uneasy. That is called denial. Second is surrendering to emotions. So over here is emotional association. Over here, it means that people, they are overwhelmed and they're consumed by their feelings. They allow emotions to dictate their behavior without reflection. For example, if you see like a anger or a like you're angry and you just go on a road rage. So even a very minor inconvenience can trigger you and you become very emotionally outburst. So over here people can lose their ability to think critically or respond rationally, often leading to impulsive and maladaptive actions. Then comes gaining insight from emotions. So over here is the response to gain insight from emotions, meaning you pause to recognize and then label one's emotional experience. Like you identify the feelings of overwhelm, you identify your frustration, or you identify your fear, and then you reflect on your message about it. So this is more of a reflective approach. Okay. Then we move on to cognitive emotional balance. So over here, cognitive emotional balance is basically your integration of rational thought and emotional understanding. So over here, it allows the person to respond to situations both logic and empathy. or you emphasize more on the ability to maintain a stable and a mental state where your rational analysis and emotional awareness they can coexist. So there is like effective decision making and there's an adaptive behavior, so how these two coexist. And once you achieve this balance, it helps you to manage your emotions, and this will help you maintain your objectivity, and that ends up leading you to navigate your social interactions. You end up building boundaries, you understand people, etc. Now, there are different components of emotional balance. One is emotional awareness, where you're recognizing and accurately identifying one's emotions while understanding how these feelings can influence the thought processes and behavior. Second is emotional regulation, where you manage responses like your capacity to manage emotional responses effectively. Let's just say you yourself are really sad and tired, and someone comes up to you and goes like, I have something to dump. You can't take in their own troubles because you yourself are not regulated enough to hear them out. So that would be your emotional regulation. Now let's just say it's so clumped up that it can lead to you surrendering to your emotions because you feel very overwhelmed about at that point, that you just have a sudden outburst, because that's a trigger for you at this point. I'm not saying like it's a bad thing. It's we all are humans. We all have our own capacity, and once we regulate that, we are all good to go. It's not like it's an issue. Obviously, for some, they aren't aware on how to regulate it. That's when you go seek an external help, where you go to therapy so someone can hear you out, and you just go to your friend because they're your emotional support. You go to your parents; they can be your emotional support, etc. Or other activities where they go for a walk, they gym, or they draw, they sing. Just activities on how to regulate yourself is what emotional regulation can be all about. Then comes resilience, where it's the ability for you to recover from stress and your setbacks, as well as maintaining your psychological stability. That's what I meant right now, how you regulate yourself. Now if we see more in the neuroscience version, um, there is an integration between your rational emotional processing with your prefrontal cortex that I mentioned before, where your thinking, your planning, and everything is like it plays a role over there, as well as your limbic system. So basically, for prefrontal cortex, you think clearly, you plan, and you make smart decisions. You see the pros and cons. But for the limbic system is where how you handle your feelings, your memories, and your empathy about it. So it helps you understand the emotions in yourself as well as others. So when these two parts they work together, you can think with both your head and your heart. So you stay more logically, like so you stay more logical, as well as you understand these emotions. You see it as a teamwork, and this is where your emotional intelligence comes in place. And that's when you have the ability to stay calm and make like a thoughtful choice, and you connect well with people. Okay, so I hope until now I made sense with um, cognitive emotional balance and emotional balance and everything. All right. So I just want you all to take like a quick screenshot of this. I have shared several prompts like this in the resources again. If anyone would like to like have an access to it, it is it obviously comes with a price, but then you get unlimited amount of resources as well as a certificate. So just take a screenshot of these. These are like affirmations when you just feel like everything is going all haywire around you, and you can just like sit down, slowly regulate yourself, and understand each and every question and answer to it. So if everyone had taken a screenshot, I can move forward. Okay, everyone is done with it. Alright. Now we'll go into our last topic of the day, that is self awareness theory. Now, self awareness theory basically explains that individuals, they often see themselves as they have their own societal standards and moral expectations, so they end up comparing their actions with others, and they make like a stamp about it, like they identify that this is how they have to act, or this gave me a bad reaction, so I need to change it up according to, like, you end up conforming. But sometimes you have to also reflect these processes if it's aligning with your own personal conduct and social norms, not others, your own self. Because this helps in your own emotional regulation and ethical behavior, because you have your own standards, you have your own moral expectation. So uh, because of that, like, you can't just like leave your self-respect just because someone else is not going on with it. That is what self-awareness is basically. If you see, um, there obviously many people have like workplace conflicts, right? So a person, they keep on recognizing there's a lot of workplace conflicts that's happening around them, and it's damaging their professional relationships and the client's trust. So through this person, this a person, he introspected through it. So she introspected through it, and she realized that her approach may be defensive or unapproachable. That is why there's a lot of damage in professional relationships, and that's why there's a lot of loss in clients' trust. And slowly she consciously understands it, she modifies herself, and she changes the way she communicates. She becomes more open, she becomes more collaborative, and that's when her self awareness has been created. This is more on a positive outlook of self awareness, is what I'm mentioning. And the role of introspection came over here, where she examined her own thoughts, she saw her own emotions, she saw her own behaviors, and she understood out of what her motives and patterns should look like after this introspection. So, in the example that I gave, she is trying to identify her maladaptive tendencies and changing that into a positive change. So, through introspective reflection, individuals, they enhance they enhance self regulation, and it also helps them to improve decision making. This just enhances their emotional maturity throughout the day. So with this, we come with the end of today's workshop, and I would like to do one more activity if that's okay. If not, we can just go towards the end. So I would like to know if there's one more volunteer who would like to volunteer, or do you all want to like and then go for dinner? Yes. Someone raised your hands. Would you like to volunteer? I see it has Vichu H.
Yes, ma'am. I can become volunteer.
Okay.
Am I
So
audible clearly?
yes, you're audible. Yes. So I want you to, I hope you have the basic understanding of what thought, emotion, and action means, right?
Yes, yes.
So I would want you to reflect on your thought, emotion, action, and the prompt would be, what would a balanced version of, let's just say you are in a workplace and you have noticed a discrepancy. So what would be a balanced version of that chain would look like? For
Of
example,
that
you received an unexpected constructive criticism from your supervisor about a recent project. So how would you reflect on it, like from the self-awareness version?
okay. So I can explain on my own words. Initially, actually, I got a new job now. Initially, I was facing the same thing. So my teammate, she was pointing out or not even a mistake. She was judging on my every actions. So initially, I thought, am I not making right? Am I not giving this judge to my work? Like these kind of thoughts would come to me before. So and then I started to think in a different way. That's okay. If I am making mistake, I can learn. Rather, I am not. This is not a mistake also. So I will do my work honestly. These kind of thoughts brought into myself. So that change, I can see now that my work is reflecting in a positive mode to everyone, even with the manager and all.
Yes,
I
perfect.
hope I am clear.
Yes, yes, you're clear to, like you were audible and you were clear with your explanation of your version of thought, thought, emotion, and action. So over here, now if we have to link it with the self-awareness theory that we talked about, we saw on how your first thought was that uh, your supervisor just kept on telling that whatever mistakes you were doing and you were feeling bad about it, like, why are they criticizing me like this? And then you slowly stopped yourself. Obviously, let me help me understand what your emotion was when first time you got your criticism.
I was into self doubt, and my emotion was sad because, again, if someone is saying you are not up to the mark, if I'm listening to that, I feel bad and I feel self doubt.
That, yes, that's very natural to feel that way, because obviously you got a criticism and it's your job in the end of the day. And it's like, also you mentioned it's your first job, right? So your thought was that this is what he said, and then your emotion was I felt sad and I felt self-doubt. So your action was you seeing it in a negative approach of how you were working. But then over a period of time, you were like, you know what, let me see what's happening. Why am I going wrong? And then you also self reflected on yourself, like, it's okay. It's not that you're really bad. You just need to see where you have to work through. And then now you're having a more of a positive outlook. Am I right?
I just kept doing my own things, not copying others, with the insight of my emotions as well as the work balance. I managed like that.
Okay, so that's how your version of thought, emotion, and action was, and you would get like more of a positive outcome out of it, where you see your work life balance as more of a positive approach. Does that make sense? Hello?
Oh, yes, ma'am, you are right. So, I have chosen a positive approach.
Yes. So this is what the whole self-awareness theory mentioned, or like looks like. There are again a lot of worksheets upon all of this. All I have put up in the like resources drive. So I hope today's workshop was insightful, and I hope everyone did enjoy and like it. Um, I hope it wasn't too boring or too theoretical. Does anyone have any doubts? Anything that you would like to share? I see one comment being, till when will I get the certificate and resources as I paid? You'll mostly get it by a day or two. Um, Ria ma'am will coordinate with all of that. Thank you so much for attending. I am glad that you guys liked the session for today. or workshop. Yes. Okay, I'm really glad to see good
Thank you very
response.
much, ma'am.
Have a good day, everybody. If anyone have any doubts and would like to personally to want to text, feel free to do that. I just wanted to let you all know that we are having an upcoming session. Um, just a second. Yeah, so we have an upcoming session that is for emotional like impact, emotional mastery for therapists. So you will be seeing the brochures that has been going all around. It's on 15th, 17th, 22nd and 24th. You get to understand how to decode emotions like a map to healing, how you can regulate it if it just comes all in once, how you can reframe beliefs that block growth for it. Maybe you can relate whatever you have learned from here for that, and also how you can lead every session with confidence and calm. So this is what the workshop is about, and it's a really insightful session. So if anyone is interested, please go look into it. And I'm really glad that everyone is having a positive outcome of this session and learned something. Do have a good day and bye bye. Meet you next time.